Hello friends, how are you? I hope you are all fine and doing very well. And I hope you are watching these tutorials from the playlist, not just on the video. Because if you follow the playlist, I'm covering very important topics and basic topics, so you can understand what I will make or what I am going to teach you in this tutorial. So you have to watch the playlist with you can say alignment, or you can say in order, because order is very important to be disciplined, to learn something. So I created a playlist from very basics, so you can follow along the playlist and you can understand each and everything very easily, so your concepts will be very clear and very understandable to you. So the next thing I want to tell you, if you okay, now another thing that I want to tell you, if you want to support me and if you think that my content is valuable, then please share these videos to and playlist to others. Now today's topic that I want to teach you is CSS units. Yeah, there are a lot of CSS units, so we will be covering each and every unit. First of all, I'm going to create a folder here, and you can name it as whatever you want. I'm naming it as like unit CSS. And once I created this folder, I'm gonna open it with VS Code editor. So actually it is basically an editor that is used for editing your code. So it helps you to write code more effective and efficiently than other editors. And I'm not blaming other editors, but I'm just saying that this editor is very you can say that as compared to other editors, this editor have very good features than others. So first of all, I'm going to create a file, name as index.html as usual, as we are creating in other. So another thing is style.css, because it's a CSS tutorial, so you have to create a style.css file, or you can embed the file inside it. Now this is my boilerplate that I just created. If you don't know about Ahmad extension, you can ask me. I will tell you about how can we use Ahmad extension. It's very important to learn, because it will improve your learning and it will speed up your learning. So now the next thing there is I'm going to give it a title like CSS Units tutorial. And I actually took through so many things from internet, from different articles, and there are a lot of things that I'm going to teach you in this tutorial. Actually the units that we are gonna learn will make us or provide us a knowledge of responsive web design. So we'll be covering everything about that. So this is our CSS file and this is our index.html file. One more thing that I have to do is to link this CSS file inside the HTML folder, inside the HTML file. So you can see I'll link this CSS file there. So the next thing that I want to tell you is what is CSS units. So friends, today we actually gonna learn about CSS units, and what I mean by CSS units is expressing length in CSS with different units like pixels, like percentages, like this is pixel, this is percentage. Okay, there are a lot of things like EM, REM, VH, VW. Okay, so we will covering so many things in the lecture, and I hope you will following me and do not skip this video, and because it will provide you very good knowledge about typography. So first of all, I'm going to tell you that any CSS unit like pixel, percentages, length is followed by a length unit, such as, let's suppose if you have a paragraph and you want to give it a font size, so 10 pixels. If you want to give it a font size of 10 pixels, the very first thing that I want to tell you here, 10 is a number and px is a unit. So the 10 is a number and this px is a unit. And one more thing, that a white space cannot appear between the number and the unit. If you give a white space, it is an error, it won't be rendered. So just you have to write it in the same order. You don't have to give a white space here. So, and one more thing, if you have only 0 as a number of their length, then you don't have to use the unit. You can omit this unit from here. So this is one more thing that I want to tell you. Now there are two types of length units. There are absolute lengths and there are relative units. There are absolute units and there are relative units. So what are absolute units and what are relative units? We are going to cover this. First of all, I'm going to make a paragraph here. Oh no, not this time, sorry. With a lorem that will provide us some dummy text, or you can use it in this way also, lorem 200, so it will provide you 200 words. So it is the power of Ahmad extension. This is only provided in VS Code and maybe in Sublime also. So as you can see, this is my paragraph having 200 words, and this is my CSS file with you can say that I am not giving any font size here. Now the next thing, that I'm going to open up this file here in the browser, so you can see the paragraph is appearing. And now I'm going to give it an absolute value. So first let me tell you about I'm going to tell you about what is absolute length or units. So the absolute length units are fixed. Okay, you cannot change. That means you can, if you resize the web browser, it will remain same and it will act same, and adjust instead of adjusting itself with screen, it just keep the length same to you on scroll. And one more thing, that if I give you an example here, is like let's suppose, why are you again popping up? So let me first of all comment this paragraph from here. So in the browser, here I am, yeah, in the browser this is totally empty, blank web page, and here if I created a div with the ID of, you can say, a box. Now if I coming inside my CSS file and use this ID here, you will use this ID with hash symbol. So I selected an ID, I'm selecting here an ID. So let me give it a width. Okay, and width requires a number and a unit. So I'm giving it a number of 200 with a unit of pixel. Pixel is an absolute value. That means it is a fixed value, and if you resize your browser, the length will remain same. So instead of it is adjusting itself with the screen, it won't adjust itself with the screen. It will provide you a scroll bar. So with height, let's suppose 300 pixel. Now if I show you in web browser, there is nothing, because you have to give a background color. So let's suppose a background color, I don't know what is the name of it. So this is my you can say this is my box, and let me increase this to 600, or you can say 700. So this is my box. Now one thing that I want to tell you, if I resize it, you can see, if I resize it, you can see the scroll bar is coming here, and you have to use a scroll bar to reach its maximum length. So absolute value means that it is a fixed value. You cannot it cannot actually adjust itself when the browser actually resizes. So that is the thing that I want to convince you. And one more thing, that absolute units are just like nightmares if you are using it for screen. Okay, so I called it as nightmares because there are a lot of you can say, because there are different screen sizes, a lot of screen sizes there available nowadays, and these screen sizes you have to adjust. You have to give for each and every screen you have to give the media query. So instead of using this, you can use relative units, and however they can be used if the output is medium is known. Okay, it is like if you have a print layout, so you want to print something, so you can use pixels. You have to use the you can say you don't have to use a relative units. You can use pixels if the medium is known, that this website will only open in this medium or this size of screen, then you can use the pixel. But if you are using for different, if you are your site gonna open in different screen sizes, you should not use pixels. Okay, there are a lot of units, and like cm cm and mm and in. cn is stand for centimeter, as you study in your maths. Mm is millimeter, in is for inches, px, as you everybody knowing it, like pixels. pt is stand for points. Okay, and 1 pt is actually 1 divided by 72 of 1 inch. So it's like something. And we do not use pt, or there is another unit, that's pc. We do not use those two units very much. We only use absolute units, px. Okay, so we usually use the pixels in absolute units. And when should we use pixels? As I told you before, if the medium is known, and if you have any elements that should not be resized. Okay, if you have any elements that should not be resized, then using pixels is a good choice. Okay, this is all about pixels, and you don't have to learn much about pixels. It is enough. You can use it in font size, you can use it in width of boxes or whatever, containers. Now the next and one more thing about and on the other hand, you can say, on the other hand, if there is a width, let me just undo everything here. Let's suppose if you have a 50% of your width, so I'm giving here, and you can say 200 pixel here, and if you refresh, yeah, so it is taking 50% of your browser's width. And now if I resize it, now you can see if I'm resizing it, the length is decreasing itself. So now it is taking only you can say it is only taking 50% of your browser screen. So how cool this is. So actually it is adjusting itself. So if you use pixels, then it won't be react like this. So this is the cool thing that percentages can do, but pixel can't. And so another thing is there. As I told you before, there is another unit, length units, and that is relative, and how they actually work. So first of all, I have to give you the you can say relative. What are the relative units? There are a lot of relative units like em or rem. People pronounce it as m, rem, and percentages, and vw. This is known as viewport width. Okay, so this is relative to viewports width. And then vh, not ch, vh again, yeah, vh. and there are a lot of other relative units, but these are the most famous one, and we actually use these only. We just use these one, and we don't use others too much. So when should we use relative units? This is a good question. When should we use relative units? Unlike pixels, relative units like percentages, and rem are better suited to responsive design. So if you have a flexible and responsive design, then you should use and rem, and also help meet accessibility standards. Relative units scale better on different devices because they can scale up and down according to another element's size. So like rem is root of root em, and em is actually you can say em is actually takes its parent element's length and adjusts itself with the parent element's length. So it's a good choice to use m and rem if you are using the fonts, or you are changing the font sizes. Now what is the meaning of 1 em? Actually 1 em is equal to 16 pixels, and we can prefer it as 1 multiplied by 16. Okay, so I know this is x in English, but you can say it as this is multiply sign, but the real multiply sign in programming is looks like this. So 1 em is actually 16 pixels by default, and if you set 2 em, let me actually stay in the comment section. So if you are going to use 2 ems, what is here? Yeah, 2 em, then it will be equal to 32 pixels. Okay, so as simple as it is. And these 32 pixels, that is meant by 2 is multiplying by 16 again. If you have 0.5 em, then it will be equal to 8 pixels. Again, you can calculate it as 0.5 multiplied by 16. So this is actually the basic theory, and same the calculations you can say is with rem also. 1 rem is actually by default to 16 pixel, and so on. Like 2 rem is 32 pixel, 0.5 rem is 8 pixel, and other is 100% is equal to 16 pixel. So the browser by default settings have 16 pixels, and if you set that 50%, so it's a half of 16 pixel, that is would be 8 pixels. And if you have 200%, so it's a twice of 16 pixel, that is 32 pixel. So this is actually as simple as it is. Here one more thing that I want to tell you, and that is the sizes we are discussing here are default sizes. So if someone change the default size through browser settings, then how it will look? Let's suppose if you or the user change it to 14 pixel, then the calculated size would end up, and how it will work. So the 1 em is equal to 16 pixel. How it is getting this 16 pixel? This is the very first question that I want to tell you. So let's suppose this is again my paragraph that I don't want to comment it anymore, and I just want to comment this box from here, and I also want to remove this comment from here. And if I refresh, you can again see this. Now if I come here and if I target my paragraph and then give it a font size of 1 em, it is the by default, that is browser is giving it. If I use this 2em, so it will look like 32 pixel here. Now the question is why it is getting 16 pixel in 1em. So if you go to settings of your web browsers, so let me show you the settings. So there are a lot of settings, okay. So I don't know where to get, maybe it's in appearance, and you have to look on different things like here, but I rarely come in my settings, so I prefer to search from here. So now you can see the font size is set to medium. And one more thing, if I use rem here and if I refresh, nothing is changed, because rem and em works just same, but it have one difference only, and that difference is rem only takes the inheritance or the base value like 16 pixel from its root, but em takes it from parent element, and if the parent element do not have any specified number unit of like 12 pixel or any pixel, so it will also react like rem. So we will cover with practical, because as I'm saying, it will not be as rememberable as if I do a practical in the front of you. So as you know, 2 rem is equals to 32 pixels, so it is taking 32 pixels. But if I change the size from here to small, and if I come here, now you can see it is it's changing its size. If I show you from here, and maybe if I resize it, now if I change it to medium again, now you can see the font size is changing. If I again change it to very small, it is changing itself. So how actually it is working? It is taking from its root element. So if I show you in my developer tools, Google Chrome gives you developer tools. If I click on the computed section, and if I select the paragraph, and here you will see the font size is 18 pixels. Okay, the font size is 18 pixels, and as I show you, this is very small, and if I change it to medium, that is the by default, now it is 32 pixels. So this is actually we are giving it here. So but one difference here, if I change it to 32 pixels from here, and if I refresh, now you can see nothing is changed yet. Everything is fine. Everything is looking that like we used it in RAM. But one thing, if I change it to small, you can see the size is not changing itself. Why? Because pixel, as I told you before, is a fixed. So the user have get an disadvantage if the user want to change the size according to its reliability. User cannot change the size of your website, of his website, if you are developing it with pixels. So you should develop websites or articles that are where you have to use the font size. Then you have to use the font size with rem or em, but I prefer using rem units. So it is very good to use rem. So it will provide you, but you can see if I changing it to large, if I changing it to very large, it won't affect. This paragraph won't affect anymore. But if I change it here and set it to, you can say 2 rem. Now if I refresh it, and if I again select it from here and change it, now you can see the sizes changes. So actually this is the thing that I want to tell you. So this is known as relative units. This is the power of relative units. Now one more thing is, let me first of all come here, and what is the root element? So you have to know the root element. So this is my paragraph, and the root element is this HTML. So HTML is the root element. Now if I select HTML here and give it a font size of, let's suppose, 10 pixels, now what is going to happen? It is will decrease its font size. Now why it is changing its font size? It is now to 20 pixels. The font size is now 20 pixels. And how it is 20 pixels? Because I reset the by default font size, that is 16 pixels, to 10 pixels. Now this 2rem is relatively worked according to this 10 pixels. If I show you here in my Google Developer Tools, if I select the body, if I select the paragraph and select the computed section, and if I show you here, now it is 20 pixels. Now why it is 20 pixels? Because of this HTML. So rem is actually work according to this. But if I change it from rem to em, now it will not affect it. If I refresh it, sorry, if it will affect, because if I do not have any parent element, if this paragraph do not have any parent element with a specified value of its size, so it will work according to the HTML root element. So let's suppose if I give it a div here with a class of em parent, okay, and if I close this div, let's suppose here, so now the paragraph is actually a children of this div, and if I refresh it here, nothing is changed yet. But if I select this em parent here and target it here, let me check, is it a class? Yes, it is a class, and give it a font size again and reset it again to 16 pixels, and if I refresh, now it is taking the length according to its parent element, that is em parent, that is the div element. So it won't take the root element font size. But if I write here rem, now it won't take this em parent, it will take just this HTML root element. So this is the slight difference between rem and em. So you should always know that the difference between rem and em, and maybe it is something weird for now, but I prefer to use rem, because rem will provide you, will give you the opportunity to reset in a good way, to reset all the, if you are using rem, so you have to just change the root element font size. Each and every font size will decrease itself or increase itself with the unit what you specify here. If you specify greater than 16, that it will surely increase itself. If you give the units less than 16, then it will surely decrease itself. So if you do not specify any unit in the HTML, it will by default take the, and if you don't give in em parent also, it will by default take the, you can say that it will take by default 16 pixels. So actually I have to select that paragraph, not the div. So this is my paragraph and this is 32 pixels because I give it here 2 rem, or if I just give it 2 em, it will again take 32 pixels, and that's because there is no specifications of, and that is specified like dot em parent dot em parent, maybe p is, p is capital here, and if I change it to font size, and if I give a font size to, like, let's suppose 20 pixels, and if I refresh, now the em is taking the 20 pixels. and it is actually what is it is doing. This 20 it is calculating it as 2 multiplied by 20, and that is equal to 40 maybe. Yeah, my math is not that strong, but as you can see it is 40 pixels. And if I change it to 10, now it will be, you can say it as, it will be not 10, it will be 20. And if I refresh and show you here, it is 20 pixels. So it is calculating in this way. And if I don't specify it here, so it will take the by default value that is that is 16 pixels. Let me show you by putting one em here so you can understand what I'm saying here. So it is 16 pixels. So actually this is the, you can say, relativeness between. So I can again summarize it, the difference between em and rem, as we just saw about the difference here. So it's actually very simple. It is actually based on inheritance. Rem unit based on the root element, that is HTML. Any element that is using the rem, or you can say rem unit, will then use the HTML root element, that is this HTML root element. And the HTML root, if you give the size to this HTML element, so the rem will work according to this, the given size, regardless of whether or not a parent element has any different sizes specified. If you are giving the em unit, so if you if you are giving the rem unit, and if you do not specify any other thing, if you do not specify the parents, if you do not specify, or if you specify, in both cases it will take only the HTML font size. Like if I specify here to 10 pixels, now it is taking the 10 pixels. But if I give a value of rem here, now it is taking 16 pixels. So actually it won't affect by the parent element. The rem won't affect by the parent element. It will only affect by the root element, and the root element is HTML. The em on the other hand is slightly different from it, because it uses the font size of its parent element, as I told you, or container, not the root element. But if its parent element is not defined, then it will also change its size according to the root element. Like if I give it a em here, and if I refresh here, now it is taking one em as 10 pixels. But if I do not specify here, and if I specify something here like 16 pixels, that is by default, and if I refresh, now it is taking the 16 pixels. And if I show you in the computed section, the paragraph is 16 pixels. If I change it to, let's suppose, 36 pixels, now if I refresh, now it is taking as 36 pixels. So it will take the font size of the root element also, if the parent element value or the font size is not specified. So it will resize itself according to the root element. So this is the very basic and very deep difference between em and rem. And remember, pixel, em, rem is usually used for font sizes, and the percentage, vh, vw is mostly used for margin, padding, spacing, and width and heights. So we are going to cover other also. Now the next thing, many of you know about the landing pages, and many of you know about one standalone pages in your website. People are now, this is a trend of using one standalone you can say web pages are very common. So if you want to make like, let's suppose if you have a div with a box, okay, sorry, not with a class of box, or you can say hero also. hero. So this is will maybe we people developers call it hero image, hero text. Okay, so actually maybe it's a banner, you can call it as a banner. So don't just waste your time in classes names. So just give it a class that is relevant to its work. And then let's suppose here if I give a width here of 100 pixels, 100 pixels, and height, height of 200 pixels, and a background also to something like blue violet, and if I refresh, you can see a small box. And if I remove it, if I just take it out from here, and if I show you, this is my div and this is my styles here. Now if you want to make it full screen, you can say, yeah, it's very simple, just increase the size from here, and you can easily create your hero image background. So this is not the good way. You can say also that just give the random values, and if it meets the requirement, so you can say that now it is good to go. But actually this is not the good way, because if the screen size is changed, you should use something like according to the relevant. Now it is, the width is 1271 pixels, and let's suppose if I resize this screen, you have to go through from here to here, and now this is not a good thing that you should not use this way. So for this purpose, what should we use? This is very simple. We should only use 100%, and it will only take the 100% of your screen, and it now it won't display any scroll bar, as you can see. So now you can adjust your width. Okay, so let me just change it from here also, and if I refresh it here, now let me make it full screen. And one more thing, this is my developer tools. Now another thing, that if I want to ask you, how can you make it full screen, how can you make this box full screen, or work like according to the landing page? So how can you do this? You can say it's very simple. You can just simply put 900 here. Okay, 900 is very maximum, very long, lengthy. You can change it to, let's suppose, 600 pixel, and you can increase it. Now it is good to go. Now you can see that it is here is your complete box, and here is your complete hero background. But again if I change its screen size, I change its height, now you can see a lengthy scroll bar, and this is not a good way to declare this thing. So how can you fix this problem? This is very simple. Here we use not 100%, because percentages will not work according to height. So you have to give VH, and VH, the meaning of VH is actually viewport's height. And now you can also see the scroll bar is again coming, but it is the scroll bar of the margins and the paddings. So that's why I prefer to reset a little bit in the beginning also. Let's suppose set margin 0, padding 0, and box sizing to border box. And now if I refresh, if I again set the viewport height according to this, and if I refresh it here, now you cannot see any, you can say, scroll bar here. And if I change its size, you can again see its size is again as similar as the previous screen. You can see the screen size is here if I resize it, but the scroll bar is not coming. So that is the way you can use your you can use your relative units, and this is the correct way, and I prefer to use the relative units for making landing pages. It's a quick fix, you can say it's a quick fix. So there are a lot of things that you can do. You can create a whole page backgrounds, and one more thing that I feel that is very nice and good. If I create a h1 here with the let's suppose hello, and if I refresh, nothing is viewing it here. Why? If I refresh, yeah, here is the scroll bar, but it is taking the full viewport's height, and if I scroll bar it here, now the hello is appeared. So this is just looks like the you can say the landing page. You just see the hero image in the landing page, and once you start scrolling, you see other content and the parallax effect. So you can add the parallax effect like here also. So if you have any background image, good background image, you can use it to make a good parallax effect. So this is the way. Now if you want to make a parallax effect, how can you do this? Let me close it out. Let me open it from here. There's another bunch of very rubbish here. Okay, I don't want to waste my time here. I just want to yeah, I think so. This is the motivational quote that I just used the background. Yeah, okay, I'm just going to copy it from here, close it here. Okay, now I'm just going to open it here and paste it here. So I know this is not a very nice image, but it's a motivational image. So I'm going to give it a background, okay, with a URL, okay, and I'm going to give it a path. Let's suppose this is the path, and nothing is displaying. And why this is here? It should not use it. Okay, what is happening here? Let me check it here also. Motivational quote.jpg background URL. I don't know why I'm getting this error. So let me first of all change its name also. f2a.jpg. This is the way if I render it as. If I refresh, okay, sorry, we have to give it a height. So I'm going to give it a height, let's suppose 200 pixels for now. So you can see this is the background image is starting uploading itself, but I want it to be 100% VH, and if I refresh, now you can see this is my background image. I know, but it's not in center, and there are a lot of glitches here in my hero image, but I'm going to fix it now. Now the next thing that I can do is background position here to center, and again center. It will center itself vertically and horizontally, so it will look like here. Okay, one more thing that I can do is background size. Let's suppose use it contain here. Yeah, it looks like good. And one more thing, background attachment, and attachment is used for making a parallax effect. Yeah, that is the thing that I want here. And inside a hero I want to make a div with the h1 here. Welcome to the quick code If I refresh, it will something looks like this, I know. And with the paragraph, learn programming like dummies. So that's why I'm teaching you with very explanation. Okay, let me align it. Just copy it from here. You can say, okay, I have it already. So display flex, if I refresh, nothing is changed. If I set to justify content, center, refresh, yeah, text align to center, yeah, align items to center. Okay, I should not use text on text. What else I can do? Let's suppose I can give you a background color with something like this. Okay, I should not use this align items here. Okay, yeah, that's great. That's very great. So baseline, maybe flex start is the option. Yeah. So actually you can say this is my simple, you can say that this is my very ugly what you want to say. So this is the background image and this is my landing page, and if I set some paragraph here also with a lorem of 300 words, if I refresh here, now if you see this, this is the actual parallax effect. If I increase this paragraph to again lorem of 300 words, and if I refresh it again, now if I start scrolling it, you can see how our background is working. But if I remove the background attachment from here, then comment it out, and if I refresh, now this is not any parallax effect here, and I don't want it to act like this. I want to act like here as it is. If I refresh, now you can see. So actually with the viewport height you can do a lot of things. You can make very good background. You can use it in your standalone web pages. You can use whatever, wherever you want to use, and you can also set it to not only to 100 VH, you can also set to 50 VH or whatever unit you want to use. So you can use it in this way. Okay, and you can also change it to contain to cover also. It will look like this. Okay, so it's totally up to you. What is your background, what is anything else. If you change the background size again, okay, sorry, I'm going to do a very ugly thing, so maybe it will work if you give it 10% here of background size. If I give refresh, now you can create a background pattern like this. So I think so you like it. So actually you can do a lot of things, a lot of items. If you center, now if you center it like here, center, and if you change it to again 100 VH, and if you refresh, now you can see this thing. Yeah, that's looking good. And if you change it to 50%, if you refresh, okay, now 50% is very large. 20%, actually 50% is taking the half, so 20% is good to go. So you can see this is my pattern, this is my background image, this is my hero text, and this is my content. So you can do a lot of things. So actually this is the way of using these elements. And instead of using pixels on font size, you should use the EM or REM. Okay, I prefer to use REM. So let me comment down your opinion on which unit should we use on font sizes or on other things. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial very much, and I know I'm not making presentations. I just want to tell you about some basic theory, and then I show you with some real examples. So I'm giving you actually a real example. So actually you are learning here from real practical examples. I'm not teaching you like this is we use it for this purpose. I'm actually telling you, I'm actually working give you the examples which is very good in your development construction, in your construction of your website. So you should understand what I am going to actually I want to give you the free knowledge that I struggled very much from the internet, from other sites, from many more teachers. I just struggle with money and a lot of things. So my aim is to teach you for free. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I really appreciate your work, that you are not skipping this video and you're watching me till here. And if you really want to support me, if you really like my content, please do subscribe to my channel, and please share this content to others also. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next tutorial. Allah Hafiz.